So glad to see some of you. We are back in lockdown here in London, so this is oh, Louisa, I'm sorry to hear that. I know the parts of the US are having a terrible time as well. I'm sure you've read about it. Here in New York, we're not in lockdown yet, although we may be only because we're supposed to get a big storm. So I keep looking out the window to see if it's starting to snow, but it hasn't yet. Anyway, I'm happy to see some of you, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up. That always helps me out. I'm going to keep going with this crazy piece that you all have. Many of you have watched me from that first moment, and I'm gonna keep going with it. I entitled this live stream Continuing Anyway, because I think that sort of sums it up, the struggle of getting to a place and thinking, oh, I kind of like it, and then now what? And so I'm in the now what part. I am going to turn all of you around, and we will start to do this. Let's see, I try really hard not to disconnect anybody or get my hands in the way. I have to turn you around. Boom. Okay. Here we go. Here is this piece, as you can see, my little work area. So let me get some more light over here. So I don't know about all of you, but when I pull back from this, what I'm seeing here is this big, did you think about adding any wool applique on this, or was it always going to be just stitch? So I have added some cheesecloth, right, in various areas, and I even added this big piece of burlap, but I haven't added any wool, and I don't think I will. I don't know why. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be calling out for wool. I do think I'm going to add this little bit of cheesecloth here. As you can see, I started doing my stripes. I want to keep going. I did Palestrina knots with a number 3 weight soft cotton, a painter's thread. But what I'm seeing is I love this. This is what I'm really loving this. And then I'm getting this big kind of almost like a wave. I'm going to zero in so you can see. I did all different kinds. I did gimp in here, French knots. I did a soft cotton 3 weight. I did some 5 weight. I did some Oriental linen. And I'm going to keep going. Oh, I added a little of this metallic. It's a painter's. I'm going to try to find it. It's painter's metallic. I'll see if I can find that and show you. And I see a moon. Very pretty. Thank you, Sherry. I haven't been able to watch lately. I love what you have accomplished. Thank you, Karen. It went from, oh gosh, what was I thinking, to, oh, I'm not disliking this, to, I think I like it. So we'll see. And then I even had a moment where I thought, I'm kind of loving this, which was really good news, because, you kind of want to love what you're doing, right? So let me, I was going to keep going over here with this bit, but I actually think what I'm going to do now is, I think I might go over here. Now, one thing I had thought of was adding beads to this, but I don't know that I want to do that here, because I kind of want the texture to, so I've got my big textural Palestrina knots in my size 3 soft cotton, and now I think I need something, so I did some seed stitch here with a 5 weight, And then I went and kind of got distracted, oh, what's over here? And off I went. But I'm thinking, hi, Debbie. I'm thinking that I'm going to do something, I don't know, something. And I have, I think this is a little too intense, but I want a kind of green in here. This might work. It's a little heavy. I was thinking more of like an 8 weight, honestly, but I'm gonna have to see what I've got. This just came in, Steph Francis, spun silk with flames. Do you make notes of every thread you're using? I don't. Louisa, I tell you, when I'm doing this, which is what I'm calling improvisational stitching, I'm not writing a pattern. I'm not doing notes. This is pure fun for me. I'm not thinking I'm going to sell it. I'm not, sell the design, none of that. I'm just playing. And I'm not taking notes. I'm just, and people will come back and say, oh, what was that? And I'll say, I have no idea. But, there it is. If you catch one of these, you'll know. So I'm going to try this. This is my Steph Francis spun silk with flames with the aqua. Thanks, Sandy. I think this will be nice, right? This spun silk with flames, it kind of varies. So we go everywhere from this, which is what, that looks like a 12 weight to me. Very, very thin. But then it gets nubbier and it almost goes to what might be a 5 weight and sort of, and it changes. But I just love Steph Francis's colorways. I think they are so fabulous. And I'm really, as most of you who've been following me know, I'm really drawn to color. And I love the variegations that they use. I just love them. I had a big order that I made, and I got some of it in. And I'll show you. So this was a bunch of stuff I just ordered, like gold work and metallic, and there's some chenille in here. And then I bought, this is my 3 weight. You can see and I have 5 weight and 8 weight. Anyway, so, lots of stuff here. All right, I've got my chenille needle. And I've got, it's Sharon using my husband's account. Sorry, this is all new for me. This is so much fun. Hi, Sharon. We were just talking on the in the Facebook group, so I'm so glad you were able to make it. And I hope that link I sent you worked. It's always, when I do these and I notify on the Facebook group, it's always so last minute for me because I was actually on a call. Oh, good. I'm glad, Sharon. I was on a phone call and it ended and I thought, well, I've got a little bit of time here and it hasn't started snowing. I want to run out when it starts to snow and take some video of that. Okay, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I had this vague notion that there was green in this, but there's also a lot of brown. When I don't know what to do, I just stick my needle in and I just start doing something. Often it's a go-to stitch like a seed. So let me just start with the seed, and if I have some great, brainstorm, then I'll break out and do something else. But for right now, I just need to get these stripes. It was like with the blue. I knew I wanted a big thread. I knew I wanted it to be a ridge. So I went with the painter's 3 weight soft cotton, not soft cotton. I'm sorry. It's the painter. I think it's called painter's 3, right? Number 3. Anyway, I knew I wanted a ridge. So that told me, okay, Palestrina knot, why not? That was an easy one. This, I don't know, I don't know whether this seed stitch is the way to go or if I should be trying to do something else. But what's more important than any of that is to just start doing something, I can always change it up. So the one thing about the seed stitch is I want this to go in different directions, right? So I want some of it to go, a few vertically. I'm going to do some on an angle. I'm going to do some that go horizontally. I'll do some that come off of, like, make a little V kind of thing. I want these fairly close together, but doesn't really matter. If I see that I'm going in all the same direction, I definitely switch it up. So someone said to me that they had trouble with the seed stitch, that they found they just kept going in the same direction. And one way to avoid that is by making sure that your hand is moving in different directions, If you're doing the same motion, you're going to get the same kind of stitch. So I have something coming down here. I want this to be horizontal, and then maybe kind of veer off of this one. That's kind of what I think about when I do this. Then I had this idea that I was going to add some roving in here, but I haven't quite figured out how or what. I'm new to roving. I haven't used it much, so I'm going to have to, I think, play around with it a little bit before I commit to it. But I got a whole bunch of roving, and it came in these little packets. So it's just a little bit, right? And I have this color, and I have this color. I don't know. I thought I might couch it, or maybe I would get, the little needle punch that you use. Maybe I'd punch it in a little bit in just a few places to adhere it to the background, and then do something else. I'm not actually sure what I'll do. I'll have to play with it a little bit. For those of you who are more versed in roving, you probably have all kinds of ideas. So here I've got like a little cluster, right? And so I want to be sure that I break that up and not do another horizontal in here. And then I think I'm going to stop right here because I'm right at my cheesecloth. And I'm going to take a step back and see what I think about that. I don't know. I don't know if that's working or not. Do I want to continue here? Do I want to do something different? I don't know. I don't want to take away from these big welts. I want those to stay up. So I don't want to do another textural stitch, right? So I don't want to, so I'm thinking aloud, right? I'm thinking, well, I could do a bullion knot, but I don't want it to compete with this. I want something that's laying flat. So I could do a running stitch, maybe that's what I do now. Maybe I have many colors of roving, anxious to see how you'll use it. Okay, Karen, well, I'll definitely be, I'll definitely keep everyone posted when I figure that out. I had a whole bunch of roving, and then I gave it to someone, and then I thought, I wish I had kept some of it. And so happy that I caught this live today. Hi, Kate. How are you? I'm glad to see you. So what do you think, all of you? I'm thinking maybe I do a running stitch down here. But maybe that's too linear. I don't know. I'm not sure what to do here. Like I said, I don't want to do something that's going to give me a lot of texture. So maybe everyone's quiet. Does that mean you don't have an opinion, or you're just watching to see what I figure out? Maybe what I'll do is see if I do a row of running stitch here, then I'm going to need to do a couple of them, right? Sort of close together. Otherwise, it's just going to look weird. I think I need a bunch of running stitch. Oh, it could be cool. I like it. Okay. I'm watching to see your idea. Me too, Karen. I was talking to Gary Parr and Beth, whose last name I've now forgotten, Endicott, I think, on Fiber Talk, right? That's their podcast, and they have a YouTube channel. And we were talking about, choosing threads and design, and oh, look, and I just veered off as I was talking. That's okay. I'll just keep going as though it's another line. But I was saying, I try to follow rather than, like, I try to listen to the next idea and then follow it rather than have any kind of preconceived ideas. I don't have preconceived ideas mostly with this. When I took my Caran d'Ache pastels to it, I definitely had ideas. I wanted rounder shapes. I wanted to really break up some of the striations that were coming in the hand-dyed linen that this piece had. I wanted it to have some big swooping round. And so I just went at it with those Caran d'Ache pastels and painted right onto the fabric and painted right over some of the stitches even. And but beyond that, I really haven't had preconceived notions of, oh, I'm going to do this and then, it's been more, okay, let me work on this, pick up a needle, pick up some thread, and just start doing something, anything. So that's kind of how this is all coming about, really. Let me just do something. Now, let's do this. I'm going to, all right, so now I've done my one line, right? And I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a parallel line right next to it. And so it's kind of like tracks, right? And I have a Sashiko needle, but I'm actually not using it because I wasn't really thinking that I was going to do a running stitch, mostly. I didn't have any idea what I was going to do. So here we go with the running stitch. Another thing, I was thinking, oh, this is green, but this variation, this variegated thread is actually not so green. It seems to be, there's quite a bit of brown in here. But I think that's okay. I think it's okay to have the brown kind of running on top of this other. What do you guys think? Do you feel like this is, do you think it's working? I think it's working. I think it looks okay. Do you see how I'm not really caring so much that it's definitely not a straight line? If I wanted something that was really a straight line, I would have had to draw on that so that I could follow it. Otherwise, I just kind of go with it. And I struggle a bit with the running stitch, which I think should be easy. I end up doing them one at a time. They turn out better for me when doing several. Sherry, I think it's hard to do them one at a time. I definitely, as you can see, I do a bunch and kind of stack the needle with them. Hi, Arlene. How are you? Yeah, I can't do one at a time for sure. So, and you can yell at me when I go off camera, all of you. You can just say, hey, you're going off. So let's see. Here it is. Hi, happy I came online. I am too. SA. What do you mean? SA, message retracted. Okay. Okay, so there we go. I think I'm going to do one more row next to this one. I've got to end my thread here because, well, do I? Maybe not. Okay, let me keep going. I'm going to go here, and I'm turning this around. So, as you probably have figured out by watching me do this stuff, I really love doing things in groups or clusters or piles, so if I think one bullion knot's a great idea, well, 50 bullion knots, and let's do bullion tendrils and make them, 120 stitches wrapped, so 120 wraps. That'll be even better. And so I do that. I kind of go with one idea but I do a ton of it. I can only do 2 stitches at a time. When I do more, the stitches aren't even close to being even. Well, honestly, my stitches aren't very even either, so I'm just going to point that out. But, I mean, look, these are not even. Looks good, but I'm wondering how a wavy stitch would look between 2 rows. Am I off base? No, I don't think so. I do like, just checked in. Hi, Delinda, how are you? So the running stitch, these are not even. They aren't. But they're even enough. You know what I mean? Like this one's kind of, where's my finger? Going off here. This one's, some are, this is certainly longer than that one. They're not evenly spaced. They're not. Hi, Nazma, how are you? Oh, I'm so glad so many of you were able to make it. I always feel a little badly when I'm doing it and I suggesting a live stream and I'm only giving people, 10 minutes to get on, or not much of an advance warning, but it's all I can do when I'm doing these, unless I've got it scheduled a month in advance. I just have to pick my moments and grab them when I can. And this was one of them. This was one of those moments. I don't know if all of you have checked the weather, but New York City is due for this big nor'easter storm. And so, when I first lived in New York City, we used to get storms like this all the time. Nazma, good, thanks. Glad I caught you. I'm glad you did too. So we used to get these blizzards, they would dump a couple feet of snow at a time and the whole city would shut down. And it was really cool. I just loved it. I grew up in Northern California where we had, no snow almost never. I mean, near San Francisco, very rarely did we get snow. In any case, hi, everyone. So glad to hear it's good enough. Now I have to get that through my head when I begin. Exactly, Susan. I think we all do. So there it is, right? And I think that's fine. And I'm going to do that here. And then I will see how I feel. In any case, so what I was saying about the blizzard is that now, so we'd get these blizzards, 3, 4 of them a year easily, and big ones, But now we don't get them. We hardly get them. We hardly get snow at all. And we certainly aren't getting huge dumps of snow these last few years. And so everyone goes to the supermarket and like the shelves are cleared, like we're going to all be snowed in for a month. It's hilarious. So I went to the store yesterday, not even thinking that people were going to be panic buying the blizzard. And there was no milk. Milk gone. No milk. How crazy is that? And for those of you who live in places where you get really a lot of snow, I'm sure you're laughing. I lived for a while in the mountains in Colorado. You would get, 8 feet of snow, and it was just like, yeah, okay, get out the shovel. but there wasn't this panic buying that you get in New York. I always wonder if everyone is making French toast since they're buying bread, milk, and eggs. I agree. Hi, Cindy. I agree. I mean, what are they doing with all that milk? I don't know. But it was funny. Sort of. I mean, I drink almond milk. I don't really drink milk. When I have cereal, I use almond milk, but my husband uses milk. And so funny to me because I don't care, but not so funny to him that I couldn't get him milk. That's okay. We had enough. We'll make it. We'll make it through these 2 days. Last time they predicted a huge nor'easter and it literally rained. I mean, it was just raining. So that was sort of the joke. And everyone panic bought, and then there was no snow at all. All right, here I'm off camera, talking away. So I think what will happen is once, and I won't do this for the entire session. After I do this row, maybe back and forth, I'll stop and move on to something else because, you know, how long do you want to watch me doing a running stitch? But at the beginning of our first lockdown, everyone cleared the shelves of toilet paper. I know we had the same, Louisa. You couldn't get paper towels. You couldn't. Hi, Jennifer from Indiana. We have the UK here. Do we have Canada? Yes, we have Canada. We have Canadians. We've got Indiana, New York. Arlene, I can't remember where you're from, but I think you're in New York too. So lots of different places people are coming from. You know, the thing about this, like South Carolina, Rhode Island, there you go. The thing about this, like, look, I want you to look. You can see that this is not near West Point. There you go. I'm in, Las Vegas. Okay. Nevada. All right, look at this. You can see this is not anywhere near even, but I'm not worrying about that. I'm just gonna keep going. If this was something, see, that's the thing that I love about this improvisational stitching is that I'm not worrying about any of that because this is abstract. This isn't representational. I don't care that it's not even. It shouldn't be even. It is whatever it is, and that's fine. And it adds interest to have it a little, you know, a couple short, a couple long. And I'm sort of following a general line, but even the line isn't straight. It's more artsy. There you go. It's art. And now I'm going to go back. Forget wavy. That stitch makes the thicker stitch stand out more. We have a little snow here in western Idaho. And North Dakota, Cindy. Hi, Cindy. Oh, boy. North Dakota. Are you guys still having a lot of COVID? I think there's been quite a bit over there. It's so scary. I had to go to the hospital yesterday for I have to have an infusion once a year because I have osteoporosis, and actually this is probably my last one and I won't need to again for a while. But I had to go to the hospital, which is always a little frightening. And none of the nurses have been vaccinated yet, but they're all sort of hoping that they will be. And I was just glad to get in and out of there, you know, quickly. That's always I didn't want to be lingering. Mostly I just stay home, honestly, and I'm stitching away and doing videos, and my social life is here with all of you. This makes up this. We're having a party here. We are. There are 28 of us, 30 including me, 29. I mean, including me. Okay, so there it is, and there's the other, and I'm liking the variegation because I'm getting a nice bit of green in here, so that's nice. I just had that a nice bit of the brown, which is fine, but I didn't want it to all be brown. That I wasn't going to like, so I'm glad to see I have a nice bit of green. And And I think I like this. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm from Ohio, Rebecca. Hi from Ohio. Not so far from me. And all right, so I'm going to do this. I'm pretty much staying home too, Cindy. Yeah, I think so many of us are, right? I mean, let's just hope we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, you know? That's what I'm hoping. Just hoping that this will be the worst of it and we get to have our lives back at some point here. What needle are you using? Okay, I am using a chenille. I have a sashiko needle, but I didn't realize that I was going to do a running stitch, so I'm doing a chenille. And do you see how it totally veered off? Totally fine with that. I'm okay. Now I'm going to come back and I'm probably going to do, I like to work in odd numbers, so I'll come back and I'll do a third running stitch. And then I'm going to do something else. And I'm not sure what. These are ribbon roses that I did. Kind of like those at the base there. Maybe I'll add a few ribbon roses. Maybe I will, I don't know. We'll do one more stitch row of this running stitch. I have one of those sashiko needles too, which I'm not using. You know, I have these things and then I forget to use them. Odd numbers good for design. That's what I think. That's what I always think that too. I don't know why. I like the odd numbers. Vancouver, British Columbia on the Fraser River. Sandy, yes. You're over there on the West Coast. And I'm going to keep going here. And I kind of veered off, you know, my lines aren't really straight. That's okay. I'm not going to worry about that either. Right? I mean, who cares? It's fine. I'm going to keep going with this. I got really close to my other line. I'm getting into the browns. That's fine. I don't care about that either. That's good. And then I'll tell you something. This is something I do when no one's watching. Which sashiko needle would you use? It's called sashiko needle, and it's just that's what it's called. And I don't know. I think I got a pack of a couple different ones in length, and I'd probably use the I might use the longer one just because I'm not doing turns. I think the shorter one is for turns. Thank you for sharing your talent and time, Fort Worth, Texas. Oh, thank you, Patsy. That's nice of you. So here's one of the things that I do when no one's watching. I just use up the thread. You know, if I wasn't gonna, with this, I would keep going. If you weren't watching, I'd keep going and I'd do more running stitches. And I would have running stitches going to the left of each of these. But I'm not going to keep doing running stitches. I'm going to do something else. And so let's say I had done all my running stitches, right? Then I still had all this thread on this needle. I would just start doing, I don't know, like 3 or 4 wrap French knots. And I'd use up my thread. Now, a French knot in this, what are the stitches with aqua thread? Karen, this is a Palestrina knot. I'm assuming that's what you meant, right? So I'm going to turn my work around. I'm going to do a whole cluster here of, What is the red-green thread on the closed fly stitch? The red-green thread with the do you mean this? This is a raised fishbone. This is a Steph Francis number 5 weight raised fishbone. I don't have any closed fly here. I don't think. Do I? No. I think yes. Okay. So I'm going to do, like a 4-wrap French knot here. And I've got my chenille needle, so that's giving me a little tricky, but that's okay. I'm just going to work with it. But this is what I do. I'll just use up this bit of thread by doing a cluster of something here. And then I'll find a different thread. Now, another thing that I sort of like doing sometimes is Karen, I do the same, yeah. Sometimes I'll just do a really loose French knot. You know how the French knot, it's all nice and tight and all of that. Well, sometimes I can just do a French knot where, do you see how I'm holding it here? So I get my tension and I'm making sure that that tension stays so that I get that nice, neat French knot. But you can also go in here and do one that's kind of messy. And that means that I don't hold this. I just let it go. And I pull it in. And it's bigger for sure. But it also can look kind of cool, especially when the thread's a little bit thicker. This is the thinnest part of this silk. I think it's a 12 weight at that point. But when I get into that more nubbier, slubbier part, you'll see it'll kind of splay out a little bit more. And so I'm just kind of filling this whole area right here with these 3-wrap French knots. The West Coast right now, we're having a series of Pacific storms up to 100. Wow, of rain. That's amazing. So not snow yet. Is that typical not to get snow? I would have thought you'd have snow by now. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't get snow. Maybe you're too close to the ocean, and so that doesn't make sense, though, because there's snow up. I mean, you're pretty far north. Okay, so now I'm at the slubbier part of the thread, and you'll see what happens when I don't hold on to it. It just starts getting, it's less defined, and there we go. Now, of course, I'm having troubles with pulling this through. But there we go. All right, I'll do a couple more of these, and then I'll start something else before we end. I'm just going to do a couple more here. And I don't, I've done 6-wrap French knots. I mean, it's like, it's fine. Of course, I just pulled that. I think I went into the same hole and I've pulled the whole thing through. So that's my maybe that's my message to stop. Yep, I'm having trouble here. Not sure what happened. Well, there it is. Do you see? All right, let me do one and stop. Some people worry about the back, of their pieces. I don't worry about the back. Great conversation with Ariane today. Looking forward to sharing it as the first podcast of 2021. Oh, how fabulous. Thank you. That'll be fun. We had a long conversation about thread and color and design and you name it, we talked about it. Okay, so let me do one more in here because this is going to bug me. Did you tell us your linen is from Trinway? No, this linen is from Fiber on a Whim. It's a cotton linen blend, hand dye. They've got a really nice selection. They sell fat quarters as well as by the yard, and they're really pretty. They also have threads that are pretty. Okay, one more. And one thing I will say about the linens from Fiber on a Whim, and this isn't just Fiber on a Whim, this is any website. It's really hard, and I know all of you probably already know this. It's hard to see, the colors don't necessarily translate on the page as they do, and then you get it and you say, wow, that's not at all what I was expecting, which is kind of what happened with this color. I thought it was going to be more of a terracotta, and it's more of a fleshy kind of pink. So, that's just one thing to keep in mind, is that the colors aren't necessarily true, to life. All right, so I'm going to stop that. One of the things I was going to say was, people talk about the back and how does it look. I don't care what mine looks like on the back. I am not worrying about this at all. And as you can see, my back's a mess. I don't do that thing where you hide threads. I mean, here I had a whole, who knows what happened there. Don't even think about it. I don't think about it. Okay, so here's my plan. So I've committed, right? I've totally committed. I've committed to these running stitches, and I'm doing them to the left of each of these big welts. So I'm going to do that. Now, where there's extra area here, do I do something else? I don't know. I might leave it, but I'm going to do running stitches, 3 rows on the left of each of those welts. Okay. Am I going to do other stuff? I don't know. Maybe. I'm going to wait and see. I may take this out. It bothers me, but maybe it won't when I don't take anything out for at least 24 hours. That's my rule. Nothing gets taken out. You leave it, sleep on it, see how you feel. I had this idea of putting this cheesecloth, hand dyed, kind of in here. And here was my thinking on this. I'm going to have to pull you back. I see, like, there's this kind of almost beam of light. We get snow up in the mountains and rain on the lowlands. We had the Olympics here in 2010, blue skies for the skiers, no snow. Okay. Yeah, well. So, I sort of felt like this was a ray of, like, sort of like this big bold bit, right? And I feel like something's needed here. So when I take it away and then I add it, I think I need something like this. Now, maybe I need a bigger piece. Maybe I need more. I don't know. Maybe I need t-shirt. Maybe what I'm doing is I'm adding this, but I really should be adding, well, my t-shirt is all pretty bright. I have a big piece of blue that I could put in here, but I don't know. So, I was thinking I would do that, but now I'm wondering if I should play with some of this. Maybe I cut a piece out here of this t-shirt that I painted, and maybe that's what I put here. And so since I'm not sure, I'm not going to do it yet. I'm going to wait, and I'm going to play around with this. But I know now I'm quite sure that I want something. Yes, I love that, Jennifer. Jennifer, which one do you love? The t-shirt or this? I'm thinking, maybe I need a bit of this blue-gray, or maybe I add the blue-gray that goes into the green. I can do where it's sort of mottled. I can cut a strip out of this and put that down. The blue-green tea, yeah. I think so. So, as I said, I was thinking I would just start stitching on this with all of you, but since I'm not sure now that I'm going to actually use this with some of the yellow, Jennifer's saying, some of this, yeah. I'm going to play with it, and I'm going to come back and do this later. So I think that's going to be it for today, all of you. Thank you so much for joining me. And I can't remember who was really... Oh, hello. Did you just come on board? Oh, and I'm just about to end. So I think even though we didn't do a whole lot, at least I have an idea for the stripes, and that's good, because that's going to take me a while to get all the rest. All right, everyone, great to see all of you. If I don't see you, let's see, I will definitely be live streaming next week, so I will see some of you then. And otherwise, happy holidays, and we'll see you at another time. All right, bye, everyone.